Shalom. Welcome to Psychology of the Parsha for Parshat Emor. Emor means speak or say. The Parsha begins, Hashem said to Moshe, Emor el ha-Kohanim b'nei Aharon. Say or speak to the Kohanim, the priests, the children of Aaron, ve'amarta aleihem, and you shall say to them, lenefesh lo yitama be'amav, that he shall not defile himself to the dead amongst his people. And then it goes on detailing the rules of whom a Kohen may or may not become defiled to after the death, who he may marry, and further details about the laws pertaining to Kohen. But what strikes out immediately upon reading this verse is there seems to be a repetitiveness. Not only it seems, it's obviously that there is a repetitiveness, because it says, say to the Kohanim, the children of Aaron, and you shall say to them. What is it that he had to say, and what is it that he also should say, and say to them? Should have just said, say or speak to the children of Aaron, and then just go on and detail them, tell them what it is you want to say. So the sages tell us that this double expression of emor and amarta, which means say and say, actually is coming to teach us something. It's to emphasize something. It is actually a dual commandment here. First of all, for the Kohanim, and like every commandment, when the Torah commands us to do something, who is obligated to fulfill the commandment? Who actually has to follow it? Who has an imperative to do so? Anybody that's considered to be a gadol. Literally, gadol means an adult, a big person. Anyone over bar or bat mitzvah. In this case, and Rashi quotes it, he says, why does it say, Emor la-Kohanim, and ve'amarta, say and thou shalt say, and unto them? This repetition is intended to admonish the adults about their children. Meaning, this is one of those very, very special mitzvot that Hashem says it's not enough that the adults do it. It's not enough that those over bar bat mitzvah adhere to it. Rather, I admonish them that they need to see to it that even the youngsters do it, even those that typically are not under the obligation of the fulfillment of the mitzvot. And it's actually very typical of the mitzvot pertaining to the most fundamental, and that is the kedusha, this holiness, the sanctity of Am Yisrael in general, and particularly here, the sanctity of the Kohanim within Am Yisrael. Now, but however, we need to take a moment here and understand, why use such a strong term, or what I would say actually even sounds somewhat negative, to admonish, lehazhir, admonish, to warn. Admonish is a very strong word. Why is that the choice for the Talmud, and thus what Rashi quotes in explaining this? Why is this just the choice words? The Rebbe gives us phenomenal insight into this, and perhaps one of the most important lessons. In fact, I would even say this is one of the guideposts of the Rebbe's philosophy, of the Rebbe's vision, of the Rebbe's approach into how Jewish life should look and how we must behave. And that is, the word lehazhir also comes from the root word zohar, which means to shine, to glow. Thus, lehazhir gdolim al aktanim, what does that mean? That this is to help the gedolim, the adults, the older ones, shine. Help them shine al haktanim, because of their dedication, because of their commitment to those smaller than them, to the ktanim. In this case, to the youngsters, literally. But by extension, or in general terms. We're talking about one who is a gadol, one who is great, or greater than someone else. And compared to the other person, he is the gadol, and that other person is the katan, is the smaller one, is more minuscule, whether it's in knowledge, whether it's in observance of Torah, whether it's an awareness of the details of and the beauty of Judaism. The lesson over here is, and this is contrary to normal human psychology, the psychology of a scholar, the conventional thinking of somebody who's in the know, is why waste time with those on the periphery? Why waste time with those who are ignorant, who don't know? Even if I dedicate myself to help them, what do I gain for it besides the satisfaction that I was able to turn them around? And how about if I can turn them around? How about if they're not really going to be such good students and absorb what I'm teaching them? How about if I'm not effective? Have I wasted my time? What could I have accomplished? What could I have achieved? What could I have gained? How much could I have risen and soared in that time that I, quote unquote, wasted with those less than me, with those who don't know, with those on the periphery, those on the very bottom of the totem pole of knowledge? Says the Torah, Lehazhir Gdolim al Ktanim. You should know that the way Hashem set it up in Judaism is that when the Gdolim, when those who are great, those who are in the know, those who have it, those who have had the privilege of studying Torah and rising to a level that the Torah refers to them as Gdolim, as great ones, when they take from their time, from their effort, from their energy to teach, to try to lift up the Ktanim, Lehazhir, they will shine. In fact, the Talmud tells us that when the rich one in knowledge gives to that one who is poor in knowledge, Me'ir Einei Shnehem Hashem. Hashem brightens up, Hashem shines up the eyes of both of them, meaning Hashem gives clarity to both of them. He helps that one on the bottom to rise, and more importantly, that one who is making the effort to teach the other becomes enlightened. And it's added, it says, in Chassidut it explains, it elaborates, that Na'asim mocho v'libo zakim 1000 pa'amim kacha, that the one's mind and his heart become refined, literally pure, 1,000 times over. And the Rebbe has written to people and encouraged people and told them that this is not an exaggeration. When it says 1,000 times over, it means 1,000 times over. So just imagine that what it would take an ordinary scholar to accomplish in 1,000 hours, one who has dedicated him or herself to helping others, to teaching others, to enlightening others, can accomplish that in an hour. Imagine that floodlight. The floodlight, if you break it apart, what are you going to find inside? A very, very tiny actual bulb. But what does it have? The magnifying elements that are around it. So thus the same housing that is the size of another regular bulb now becomes intensified 1,000 times over. Shalom.